Now, the title of this book will grab you. It is Faith, Purpose, and Politics, Running the Race of My Life. Immediately, I was captivated. Tell me about how you chose your title.
Oh, I don't think I chose this title. It just came to me, and because I know I was in the race of my life.
Thank you for joining me, Miss Kandiss Taylor. How are you this morning, afternoon?
Yes. Hey, Tamara. Yes, it's great. I'm great to be here. Hadn't seen you on here in a long time, but we talk otherwise. But thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So y'all, Miss Kandiss Taylor, she and I, let's talk about how we met, Kandiss. She and I ran for the U.S. Senate in 2020. Now, y'all remember that was a special election right here in Georgia. And there were 21 candidates in that race. And Kandiss and I were on the ballot together. And it was so funny, Kandiss, because when you and I were at forums, you and I had never met in person. And to this day, we still haven't met in person. I can't wait to be able to see you and like give you a hug and say, Kandiss, it's me.
Tamara, I feel the Holy Spirit right now. The first time, and I don't know if you remember this, but the first time we met was in a debate, or kind of like a forum. They called it a debate, but it's more like a forum. And we were, most of us were there except for Kelly and Doug. Kelly Leffler and Doug Collins didn't show up, of course, because they were the front runners, right? Or Warnock. Warnock didn't show up either. Yeah. And so I just remember I was looking through all the faces, and there was a bunch of us, and I'm like, oh, she's pretty.
Oh,
And so anyway, and then when you spoke, you have such class. And you're very articulate. And I was like, oh, I like her. And then I opened my mouth, and they're like, golly, she sounds Southern.
No, and that's you know what? I'm gonna tell you, when I first saw you, I was like, she is so pretty. And I thought the same thing about you. And you know what? Always, and this is your signature, is that red lipstick. And I'm from the beauty and barber industry, so I noticed that, right? I was like, now she is working that red lipstick. And then when you spoke and you have that Southern accent, I was like, she's a hometown girl.
And saying things that nobody else will say, what you think, but you don't say. And then I get in trouble for saying things that everybody else is thinking it, but nobody wants to say it, right?
Now, Kandiss, you were not the person you were in 2020. 2022, we'll talk about that in a bit. But who you were in 2020, you didn't come out of the gate like that at all. Like
I did.
Your 2020 race, no, Kandiss. You really took a step back, and you would listen. And not that you don't do that now, it's just that your approach now, you're fiery now. You're like, wait a minute, that ain't right. And you call that thing out right now. But I think in that 2020 race, I think we were all kind of feeling out the landscape of running for the United States Senate. So yeah, you evolved into this powerhouse in 2022 in your race for governor.
Tamara, this is what I've seen, and I don't know, the Democrat Party, if you see the same thing I see with the Republican Party, but I think it's just the politicians as establishment people. When they start, they either get groomed and go into this person that's supposed to be what we expect a politician to look like. And so they start talking the talk and getting the lingo, and they get the way they dress, and they get everything down pat of what you look like a politician and you sound like a politician. And then I watched people that even started out with me in 2020, maybe not in my race, but other races, and watched them in 2022. And I was like, who is that? They have changed it all. And I went, instead of going to conform to what they wanted me to be, I went the other direction. Like, y'all make me so mad that I'm just going to tell all you bull crap right here. I'm going to get it all out. I'm going to tell on you, and I'm going to let all the people know, because the only reason why I'm running is for the people. And so I'm going to tell the truth. It's like I went opposite, and they're like, who is she? And she will not hush. We can't do anything with her. So
yeah, the person you were in 2020, I think you kind of you were watching, like, okay, who are these people? You got to lay of the land. And when you figured this thing out, like you were not going to just sit back and be quiet. And I have watched you, and I'm telling you, your personality, it radiates. And I just want to thank you for just being you. And I think that's what politics is supposed to be. Authentically who you are. Like, don't try to become what the establishment or the powers that be, what they want you to be. Be who you are authentically, and then let the people decide if this will work for them.
You know, authenticity is lacking in our world, and people being accountable. And those two things are lacking. And so when we see someone that tells the truth, whether you agree or not, it's a breath of fresh air. Just like you, Tamara, whenever you would speak, it was from your heart. Most people speak from their head. And so you have this eloquent way of speaking from your heart, and it comes off classy and educated and articulate. And that's rare. That doesn't normally happen, because politicians typically are very, and I think it comes from you being in the beauty and barber industry and being in that place of making things pretty and letting people be their best self and look and radiate who they are on the inside, on the outside. And you somehow figure out how to do that if you're a really good artist in that industry. And I think that you bring that to politics, which is rare. You know, I don't know anybody else in the beauty and barber industry that's in politics. And so I think that's why you're unique, and it's a different, it's a different persona that we need in the arena, and it stands out. But what I was going to say about you, I noticed, was even issues that I was totally against. And we can just say reparations. I thought that was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard of. I was totally against that, and would say it straight up. That's ridiculous. We got to spend less money. We can't print any more money. I don't want to go any more, the national debt. I still feel that way about the national debt. I still feel very passionate about them stopping printing all this money because of inflation. But my attitude about reparations has changed, because I listened to you, who shared your heart. It wasn't a game. It wasn't rhetoric. It wasn't from your head. It was from an authenticity. It was from a place of authenticity that came out, and it pierced my heart. And those are hard things to get resolution to, and hard conversations to have, but we have to have them. We have to have them across the aisle. We have to have them within our own party. We have to have them as people. This is our state as people, and we have to protect it.
And see, this is where they keep us so divided, Kandiss, as if Democrats, and you just said it a little while ago, we were talking offline, that, we can't be friends. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And we can have a mutual respect for each other. And I lost her. Maybe she'll be back. The devil is a lie. We're going to keep recording. We're going to keep talking, because, we're not going to let this stop us. Let's see. She's back.
It just did something crazy. I don't know what it did.
I know the devil. The devil is a liar, Kandiss. You are a believer, and I know he'll try us every opportunity he gets, but he will never win.
Well, that should show people what he wants to destroy us with, is division. He always comes to divide and conquer. Always.
And we're not gonna let it happen.
We can be more than friends. We can be more than acquaintances. We can be sisters. And I 100% fact is I introduced you to some of my Republican friends and people that I love in the Republican Party. And I told them, okay, I'm going to introduce you to someone that I love. And because they were all wanting, how can we bridge the gap with the Democrats? We need them. We have to work together. If we don't, we're not going to get fair legal elections. We have to come together with candidates from the other side. And they were like, I know this person. I said, well, I know someone that ran in a statewide race very well. You do? Yes. Who? And I said, well, I'll talk to her first. But if she's willing, I'll be very protective of her because I love her. They're like, well, okay. I'm like, no, she's my girl. She's my sister. And they're like, and she's a Democrat? I'm like, she's a Christian. She's my sister. She loves Jesus. Yes, she's in the Democrat Party. But that's not who she is. I'm in the Republican Party, but that's not who I am. I'm Kandiss Taylor. And she's Tamara Shealey. That's who she is. So I think, for me, it's more about our identity and who we are. And then we have belief systems, and we, kind of fit ourselves to where we feel like it is the most like us, whether it's conservative or it's in the middle or it's completely liberal. Most people are more in the middle. Most people. And I all the time would hear, you're far right on the Constitution. Well, I don't know why the Constitution is considered far right, but apparently it is. But you're like in the middle to the left on humanitarian issues, because I'm talking about prison reform, and I'm talking about homeless and trafficking children, and adoption reform, and defects reform, and education reform. And I'm talking about things that are humanitarian. And I said, I think that we just should care about the people. Let's care about the people. And when you talk about reparations, we're caring about the people, and Native Americans is close to my heart. And my 4 generations ago, my grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian, and I care about how they were treated and what was done, and it was genocide, and the things that happened to them. I care about what happened to your ancestors too. I care about those things. That matters. That makes Georgia who we are, and it's the reason why we have the issues we have today stem from things that happen. I'm not one that lives in the past, but there's things that have to be fixed, and I get that. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, there's things that have to be repaired and fixed for us to move forward. And you've taught me a lot about that, Tamara, honestly. And you had me from the beginning researching and praying and thinking about things that I had not thought about and prayed about because of what you believe in, because I cared about you. So that came through relationship, right? So relationship is the catalyst for repairing. And so if we have relationship and we do these things, and it's true, authentic relationship, then we can heal our land. Jesus can help us do that.
Amen, girl. Amen. So you know what? And I think I'm so glad. Thank you for being my guest. And, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being, all that you are, Kandiss. I love this fiery person. Like I said, that first race in 2020, again, you were getting a lay of the land. You were figuring out who the players were. You was watching and scoping it all out. But in 2022, talk about you. Talk about that gubernatorial race. You've been on fire around the state. When I tell you, Kandiss Taylor signs all over the state, I saw them. I saw your signs in some places where I had to send you a text like, Kandiss, look at your sign.
Well, and then I feel the Holy Spirit so strong. I don't know why, Lord, he wanted us to have this today. Anyway, but Tamara, when you had messaged me and I'd see you, I smile. If I see your text, I just always smile. Like, people get on my nerves when they text me like this about work, or about, not my job, but campaign work, or, asking me for something or whatever. And then I see you and I'd be like, oh, Tamara, it's like a slice of heaven. And then it's like, oh, I saw your signs, or how are you? What's going on with the campaign? And I would think every time, like, Lord, when I win, I just want Tamara to work with me, and I would just think that, like, every time, like, Lord, you're going to bring these parties together through me and Tamara. Like, I would just pray for that, because I so want that. And, I don't know, I can't even describe. Our relationship is supernatural. It's from the Lord. He gifted it to us, and we're different, and we can sit here and debate every topic, and we would not be all together most of the time. But I think that's where people lose it, is it's like they get offended. You're never going to say something to offend me, ever. Because one, I trust you, and two, I love you. And so we have to love each other. That's why the Bible says, above all else, love each other, right? And forgive. Be quick to forgive. Be slow to anger. And people right now on every side of the issues get so offended. And I find myself getting offended too. And we have to stop that. We have to figure out how to fix problems. We're smart. We're smart people. We can fix hard things. And we have to figure out how to do that. And I say that because I remember you telling me this, Kandiss, when you win this primary, now we got to have some conversation, and you got to start rewording things. I know how you feel. You're passionate, but you got to package it different. You're not going to reach Democrats like this. And they believe what you believe, but you got to tone this down. I said, okay, I promise I will. I promise.
Kandiss, you got me like laughing over here, because I remember. Yes. I gotta wipe my eyes on this one.
And it's like, yes, I will. I promise I will I'll listen to you. And then Robbie too. I had a conversation with Robbie too. And she was like, we got you, but you got to, and it was almost like you were wanting to say, girl, you make me scared because I'm scared we can't bring this back in. You've already said so much that's so like, forceful. So anyway, but at least people know that I'm going to tell the truth about how I feel.
Yeah.
And they don't have to second guess that. And I think that back to authenticity, people want honesty. They want to know, even if they don't agree with you, that you're going to tell the truth, because people don't tell the truth anymore.
And that's what we love about you, Kandiss, that you are Dr. Kandiss Taylor, and there's no other like you. I when I saw you on the campaign trail here in 2022, I was so proud of you. I was so proud of you because you was like, look, you called it out, you didn't hold back. And I'm like, who saw this fire? Like, you had some fire in 2020, but not like you did in 2022.
In my own party. And that's, I get attacked a lot by the 1% left, but my own party was very angry with me because I called them out. And everybody wants to play nice and play tea and let's pretend. This is not the time for playing pretend or playing games. We're going to lose our freedom. This is the time to be honest. This is the time to call out the bullcrap, not put up with it, and not play along. I'm not a play along to get along. It's a waste of time. I could be doing something else. And I think I was fed up. I didn't know anything about politics in 2020. I went in there blind, and I learned so much so fast and saw so much ugly, like pulling a rug away and seeing roaches scatter, that I thought, I can't take this. This is not okay. And, watching you, I was so thankful that you ran against Warnock in 2022. He needed to be challenged. He needed someone to give him a run for his money, but because I wanted you to win. But, we need someone who is an honest voice, who won't be bought off, who's not in there for themselves, for glorification and a narcissist, or in there just for money. Somebody that actually cares about the people. And I know your heart. You love the people. You care about the people. And so I was so thankful that you ran. Nobody else did. Nobody else did, because it's like, why? But you did. And that's the point, is they all need to be primaried. It keeps them honest, right? It's the only thing that keeps them honest. It's the only thing that keeps them accountable, is someone primarying them and making them have to work for it a little bit.
Well, look, now we can go there to the meat and potatoes of our races and this 2022 election. Kandiss, I'm gonna tell you, when I saw that night, I knew election night, I was like, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna go in prayer, and I'm just gonna not really I didn't do any part, like an event, nothing. I just needed to, just me and God. And I wasn't gonna look, Kandiss, but I peeked in a few times, and when I saw those numbers and how they were like all over the place, I said, good night. I went to bed and gave it to God. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what is going on, but God, you are always in control. And I went to bed. So talk about when you saw the numbers coming in.
I start with talking about your numbers. So I just went to my family's house. And so, I was seeing what was happening with mine. And then I said, I got to check on Tamara. And so I flipped over and looked at yours and specifically went down to Chatham, because I knew how much support you had in Chatham. And I thought, no way. So I knew what was happening to me. But then I saw except for the Lord again. But I knew if you didn't have strong numbers in Chatham, it was happening to you too. And I knew that county specifically. And so I looked specifically there. But, we saw my numbers go up and down all night. We saw one time, you lose 10,000 votes, or, 5,000 votes or 1,500 votes, go up, go down. And one time Brian Kent lost like 300,000 votes out. It was crazy how it was just up and down, up and down. And you can see it, on the graphs now. And then after the election, I was saying, between like 3%, it was like hovering there because David Perdue pulled 20%. So, but after the election, they pulled out the live results, and every time Kemp's numbers were put in and they fluctuated, you could multiply it by 0.05, and it was my number exactly. So I was getting 5% of his total the entire night, which is mathematically impossible. And it was crazy. Honestly, it was completely insane. And we talked to attorneys and we're trying to figure out what to do. And it was like, well, you know, I had so many volunteers. I had like 60,000 people who had signed up to get newsletters, emails, and be a volunteer. And I got 41,000 votes. You can't make it make sense.
Kandiss, when I tell you I saw your signs everywhere, I saw your signs everywhere.
And everybody said that. And I would see them everywhere. And we're still everywhere. We're trying to pick them up. I pull over and pull them up now.
I think people are still keeping them out there, Kandiss. I think that's intentional because I saw one and I was like, there's a Kandiss Taylor sign still out there.
They're so sweet. I love my supporters. I had someone ask me yesterday, do I regret it running? And I said, no, I would never regret, first of all, doing what God told me to do. Mm-hmm. And second of all, the relationships I formed and the people that were created for relationship. And I've met so many people that are wonderful people. I can't imagine not having them. We had, I was swatted a few weeks ago, and, you know, that somebody called and said I had killed my husband, and the police came to my house. Anyway, the next week I had prayer intercessors from all over the state drove to my house, 16 of them, and they prayed over my property. Mm-hmm. And I sat there and looked around, and I'm not, you know, I don't do a lot of identity politics or like racial stuff. We're all created equal in the image of God, and we're all an expression of Him, every hue of our skin. So I don't like talking about that, but I noticed this. God showed me this. I was standing there, and there were white people there and Black people there and Hispanic people there. And it's like all of us together. And came here to my house to pray over my property. And it was so humbling because I'm nobody. I'm just a girl from South Georgia that loves Jesus, you know? And God brings us all together. Like, we're His children. It doesn't matter. We're His children. And I've met so many people that have a relationship like that. I would never regret all the work, all the sacrifice, because I wouldn't have them. Mm-hmm. But it truly, it was beyond disappointing. It was disgusting. I cried the whole day after the election because I realized we were communist. And I'm like, we had a constitutional republic. We don't. And everything that's been fought for, civil rights movement, you know, women's rights movement, everything that's been fought for, the Indians being slain, everything that's been fought for us to be just giving it up to a communist regime. And it's not one party. It is the elite establishment, period. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have fair legal elections, we're communist. That's the only thing that makes us have our form of government, is that we have representation that we elect. And it's just so disheartening. I mean, I'm telling you, I was so sick. And then I just prayed and said, God, what do you want me to do? And ended up doing this affidavit, you know, push where I've gotten affidavits because I have all these volunteers. So it was just a natural progression. They were all wanting to do something, and it gave them something to do. And, you know, we've seen huge discrepancies. We have about 5 issues. I haven't even released really every single one to the, you know, publicly, but we have more affidavits than we do votes, you know, in areas. And we have other issues in areas. And we know that the election wasn't what it says it is. We know that. We have it in black and white. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a hypothesis. It's for real. It's serious. I mean, it's legit. So, and I think that in itself, and what happened in DeKalb with the Democrat that was running for commissioner, mm-hmm. and she knew her and her husband didn't even get their vote counted in their precinct, and they go to the hand count, and she ended up having the most votes and is in a runoff. And when that happened, and it wasn't, you know, the Republican Party, it was a Democrat Party, mm-hmm. and she got to count her votes, it was like, wow, we knew it, but now we really know. And so there's some other counts going on right now. There's other counts and other, for the governor race and the Secretary of State race. And there's one county that's counting all the races. It'll be interesting to see what your numbers are there.
Mm-hmm.
But at least they're counting the paper and we're going to know for sure, because I don't believe it was an algorithm. I thought it was an algorithm. I thought that it was, I got a certain percentage or whatever. I'm past that now. Now I think that it was a whole just facade. Like it was a whole system where they just had it that looked like they were releasing these results, but they already knew before they released them. And maybe our votes wouldn't counted at all. And the reason why that's what I'm thinking now is because there's no rhyme or reason to the percentages and how it could have been put in. And when you're looking at all this data, the data teams are saying there's no rhyme or reason. It's like so random. And the results were released on that WSB page, website,
Mm-hmm.
A month before early voting started.
Mm-hmm.
And they were almost exactly the same as what we had on election night, May 24th. And so it just seems like a coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences, that they had a program and they were testing it.
And we were the test subjects.
Guinea pigs.
The guinea pigs.
And I don't like guinea pigs. I don't like rodents.
No, but we go back. I mean, we can look back at this. I'm gonna tell you when I first started paying, where it first hit me is when 2018, when Stacey Abrams said, "Did I really lose?" And she never conceded to Brian Kemp. And when Donald Trump called here in 2020 and made the comment about the 11,000 votes, I think he obviously knew something that we now know today that there's some truth to. So when I saw my numbers, I know where my strengths were in this campaign. I knew where a lot of my votes should have come from. And to get 3% in the entire state, absolutely not.
And you knew what you got in 2020.
Exactly.
With 21 people on the ballot.
21 people in the race. So yeah, so none of it makes sense, but you and I are the type of people that we're not going to just sit by and sit back. We're not going to let that happen. We have an initiative that we're a part of, Recount Georgia 2022, where we are demanding a hand recount and and to stop using the Dominion system, not just the machines. It is the hardware and software, whatever components are used in tabulating votes here in Georgia. We don't want to use this system anymore. And you will recount this ballot on both sides, Democrats and Republicans.
The paper. We want the paper counted.
The paper counted.
And we want a chain of custody, and we want voter intent. And right now, the Constitution and our statutes say that you should be able to tell voter intent. Well, that's when you go in and you mark a ballot. You can go back and you can say, well, they marked the circle here. It's a little over the line, but I think it's here. That's voter intent. When you go and you are tapping a screen and it prints a paper, you don't have voter intent anymore. You also have a QR code that we can't read QR code. That's on there that you don't know what is in that QR code when it's scanned in. It does, to me, the process we have does not meet the qualifications that are set in the guidelines and the statutes that are set in Georgia. And so it should be a no-brainer that we don't use this anymore. We have to go back to the basics, checks and balances. It's not rocket science. It's not difficult. It has to be a system where it's scanned in, Scantron. It's read with little reader, little lines, easy peasy, simple, not hooked up to the internet, no Wi-Fi capability. No hackers can get in here because it is old school dinosaur. Okay, give me that. I want safe, secure, legal elections, and I don't care which party wins. I want who the people want. The people get to choose. This is their government. Even if I don't agree, it's okay. I can move to another state. Seriously, we have to have fair, legal elections. That's how we are free. And that has to happen. And, we don't have to agree on anything else, but we can agree on that. And the Democrats were the ones saying this years ago. They've been saying paper ballots. They've been screaming it. The Republicans haven't done it. And I was like, with the Republicans, why the Democrats want that? Everything's suspect. If they say this and we're going to do the opposite. I'm like, let's agree and let's do the same thing together. I'm with the Democrats on this. This is ridiculous. And if the Republicans don't want it, then they're the problem. They're the ones in power. Why don't you want it? I've called every one of them out to their face in meetings, the whole campaign, about, you know what? You say, well, we're going to reach the Democrats. Forget that. Let's get the voting fair and legal. Y'all don't want to really talk about how to reach the Democrats, or you would agree with the Democrats right now and protect voting. It's all lies.
Yeah, we got to get, and this was never about, whether any of us won. Like we have, all of us have put that to the side. We have put aside where we stand on the issues. We have put all of that to the side, because ultimately, if we don't have, like you said, free, fair, legal elections here in this state, what do we have? That scares me, that we're not the ones to choose who's in power. Like, we don't get to make that decision. That scares me.
Yeah, forget abortion, forget gay rights, forget prison reform, forget homeless people, forget every issue. Because if we don't have fair legal voting, we have no country. We have nothing to argue about. There's no social issue to argue about if our voting is not fair and legal and it's not who we choose. Then it's a selection process, which is what's happening. It's a selection. And how long has it been a selection process? I don't know. I venture to say 2 decades, ever since they implemented electronic voting. We were the first state to do it, Georgia, and 2011 or before, 2001, 2002. And ever since we did that, we've had issues. And you know what? We paved the way for all the other states, and we're the gateway state. We do that. We are the state that Chuck Schumer said, there goes Georgia, there goes America. Everybody knows Georgia is so important. We're critical. And I'm telling you right now, the nation is watching Georgia because of what is going on here. And it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And if I was a Democrat, I would be furious that the Republicans are doing this. But I'm a Republican, and I'm furious that the Republicans are doing this. So we've got to join together, and we have to get this fixed. It can't continue.
And that's why we are, again, we're not going to sit back and be quiet. We're not going to go away. We're going to fight this every step of the way, because nothing else matters, like you just said, until we get this right. We have to be able to decide who's in power. That has to be the will of the people, period.
Right. Whoever it is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Trump's popular to talk about because people either love him or hate him. There's very, very few in the middle. And it doesn't matter to me. It's whoever the people wanted. If they truly wanted Joe Biden, then great. But I don't believe that's what happened. I don't believe that's what happened in this race. President Obama was so charismatic. People loved him. He was so charismatic. He got Republicans to vote for him because he was just a great speaker, and he was he just was the epitome of a politician. He had that look about him. Joe Biden doesn't, because he's gotten so old, and he doesn't have the eloquent speech. He never has, even when he was young. They say that it's his age, but he's never been an eloquent speaker, ever. And President Trump is so abrasive that people wanted him because they wanted to shake things up. I truly believe that. They were sick of the same old rhetoric. And, whoever they chose, I just want to know who they chose. You know what I mean? Like, whoever it is, let's just count the paper and let's see who really won. And that's what, if we do not do that, if we do not say we're having fair legal voting in Georgia, we're not standing for this anymore, we got to quit participating in their insanity. And people were like, well, Kandiss, are you going to vote? Yes, I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote, even if it doesn't count, even if it's the same system. I'm going to vote, because you don't stop voting, or they will definitely quit having elections, because then it's like, okay, we can quit pretending now because they're not voting, so we can just keep doing what we're doing. You don't just forfeit your right to vote. You go in and go through the motions, even if you know it's not going to count. We don't just give that up.
Kandiss, I'm gonna tell you, you got a lot of people on this side that are looking like, why do this? Why continue to waste my time, my energy? So there's a lot of people that feel a little different, and that's probably another conversation that we'll have to have, because I'm hearing it. And
I am too. I'm
I
hearing it.
can't tell people to do it. I can't. I'm just letting them make their own decisions about how they want to move forward. But what I do say is that I'm going to fight this every step of the way, and we're going to get this right. Or I'm not going to stop fighting. I'm not going to stop fighting the specifically the Democratic Party. Like you fight your party. I damn sure fight mine.
Mm-hmm.
They I am not a pick. I am not a favorite, because I'm just like you. I call it out. I'm not going to sit there and act like we don't see the elephant in the room when there's an elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And the party has issues, major issues. They openly supported Warnock in the midst of this election. How dare you, when you have two Democrats running against each other, you openly support one over the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't just my race. It was other races, on the ballot. So I'm not going to continue to pretend that, I never pretended with them. And that's why I'm, again, not selected, as you say.
It's a selection, it's a selection.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've heard the same thing. People do not want to vote. They want to write me in. And I'm like, it won't count. It doesn't matter if, 5 million people write me in. It's not going to count, because that's the statute says if you're on the primary ballot, you can't be on the general as a write-in. So it can't happen. And they're like, well, I don't want to vote for Brian Kemp, and I'm sure not voting for Stacey Abrams. This is what the Republicans are saying. And I'm like, I understand. If you think you don't want to vote for him any more than me, I promise, but we have to vote. It doesn't matter who you're going to vote for, whichever one. For me, at this point, I believe it's a selection. They're going to choose whoever they've made a backroom deal, whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. But when we quit going to the polls and we quit voting, that's what happened in Venezuela. They quit voting. They just quit. They knew it didn't count. They knew it was just Cuba too. They knew that it was just a formality. They stopped going. And so eventually the government's like, well, we've got them. They're brainwashed and they've accepted it now. They're not even coming out to vote. And so we don't have to pretend anymore. We don't even have to pretend to have elections, because they know we're doing it and they're good with it. We'll just rock on. And we have to keep showing up in number. This is our right to vote, and we're going to do this. And we're not going to stop we're not going to stop pushing for the paper count, for the paper vote. We're not going to stop that. We're not going to relent. It's our system. Mm-hmm. And if we, one aspect of that is actually showing up to vote. Do I want to? No. But I feel that burning inside of me. And I believe Dr. Martin Luther King, if he was here today, I believe he would say, yes, we have fought for the rights for women to vote, for Black people to vote, for everybody to vote. Go vote. And then we do what we're doing right now. We're trying to push back and get the paper count. We do that in record number, and we don't stop until we get it. But it's all hands on deck. Does that make sense? That's what I feel.
It does. But I'm going to tell you, like, Black people, I'm going to just speak to Black people. It's like, you know what? We show up and we do this, and they just don't have any confidence. And they, and what happened here in 2022, how can you have confidence when we know something? We know that something happened in our races. So with the Democratic Party, they have taken the Black vote for granted, right? They know that we fought so hard for this right to vote, so hard for it, that they now take it for granted. They're like, they don't even, our issues and our concerns are not being addressed. So, and now our votes don't even count. There's a lot of people that they're not running to the polls, Kandiss. They're not going to run to the polls.
I know. I've got the same thing on our side. I've got people that are blue collar workers. They're middle class. They take off work to go vote. Mm. They make a special effort. They're in the military, or they work out of town. They work. I got a friend in Louisiana. He has a whole crew that's out there rebuilding after the hurricane, and they all sent for absentee ballots and did all that. Some of them flew home to vote in person, and they're like, I won't vote again. I mean, that I know, I feel it. I mean, they're enraged, mm-hmm. But I just really feel like in my spirit, we cannot give up on showing up and saying, it's our government. Any way we can, we have to show them we're not stopping. And, we're at war. We may not be with guns blazing at war, this is a digital war. It's an informational war. It's a political war. It's a war right now that we're not winning. We're fighting it, but we're not winning right now because we've not had one state that has said, okay, we're done with the machines. We know we had issues. We're done. We're going to paper ballots. We're going to fix this. We're going to make sure. Not one out of 50.
And that's why, and I'm not justifying, what happened on January the 6th, but I think that is the epitome of the frustration, is that people are not being heard. Their vote with where they stand on the issues, their votes are not being counted. And there's a lot of frustration that's bubbling over, where you see Republicans storming the Capitol. You see Democrats are saying, to hell with it, I'm just not voting. You see, like the two different, ways of strategies to whether they should or shouldn't vote.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to need the Democrats to vote, and my Republican people will be like, oh, well, don't encourage them to vote. Yeah, I am. It's our government. All of us, especially us that are normal people, normal, hardworking people, or retired people that, us. It's our government. We have to push back. We can't give up. We can't. I want to be free. I want my kids free. I want my future grandkids free.
Mm-hmm. So voting is our weapon. So
it's the weapon we have, and then it's the weapons we're using. It's the affidavits, it's the notices, it's the grand juries, it's the lawsuits, it's the phone calls and the emails and the face-to-face visits. It's the relentless pushing and badgering until something breaks.
And hence why we fight, Kandiss. We're in this fight, and we're not going to quit. I know you're not. We're going to continue to push and fight. November is right around the corner, but before we even get to November here in Georgia, Georgia must address the May 24th primary election. Like, we're not going to let you get to November and not address May 24th.
No. You're going to do it. They're going to do it. The people are showing up in counties at their Board of Elections office. They're showing up in mass number, and they are like, no, we're counting the paper. And guess what? They're starting to count the paper because they know the people aren't going to stop. There's way more of us than there are of them meaning the establishment, way more. And so when we come together and we link arms together, you ever heard of angels that link arms around your property for protection? Well, when we link arms together, we run the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're going to continue to fight. So Dr. Kandiss Taylor, you have a new show, a new broadcast. Mm-hmm. You got a new thing you're doing. Let's put that on the screen. Dr. Kandiss, go to KandissTaylor.com, y'all. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm just interviewing people. I'm going to get you on there. I'm doing like hour-long interviews, and you need to go on there because you interview people all the time, but you don't get interviewed. But people telling their story and just talking about the issues of this in the world, and I'm interviewing people from all different walks of life. It doesn't matter, and just getting out their issues, because the Bible talks about our testimony sets people free and it gets people healed. And so when we have testimony about our life, it resonates with someone. Most of the time, it resonates with many people because it's either happened to you or it's happened to someone you love or someone you know. And so we're just getting those issues out and talking, and it's just real easy. And, I have a PhD in counseling, and so that's easy for me to do that kind of back and forth banter. And I think it's a different type of show, and people seem to like it. So I'm just trying this because I want to still have a voice. People were like, I don't want you not to do speeches anymore, or you not to talk anymore. And so I thought, well, I'll start a media company and we'll roll with it, right? So I'm the first show on my company, the Dr. Kandiss Taylor show, but my media company is called Voice of the People, and we're building. I want to do every Thursday night from 5 to 10, have a show like every hour. Right now I'm at 8 p.m. on Thursday nights.
Ooh, congratulations. You have such a personality. I've seen you on some big stages, and girl, you own it. So I'm excited to see that you now have your own show and you'll be bringing people on. I look forward to being your guest. You just tell me when.
I'm ready. All right. Well, I will see you in person for that.
Yeah.
Finally, so I can hug.
Finally. Yes. You and I have been knowing each other ever since the 2020 election, and yet to have met in person. And I so look forward to it, Kandiss.
Me too, Tamara. And so, me and Tamara, we're looking at like doing something with the barber and beauty industry. It's going to be a surprise.
Yes.
It's going to be a surprise.
It's
Y'all
gonna
wait
be
for
a
it.
surprise, y'all. It's gonna be a surprise, to see the two of us, do this. It's gonna be so much fun. There's a fun side to us too. We might be politics, but there's this girly fun side to both of us that we look forward to sharing with those that follow us.
We're proud to be a woman. We love our feminine side, right?
Say it, girl.
That's right. Well, I love you so much, and I love your supporters. And I will tell y'all have the best place right here with my dear friend Tamara. I'm so thankful that y'all follow her and support her. You should tell all of your friends. You should say, listen, y'all have to listen to this lady because she is brilliantly smart, and she donates and gives her time to you to give you information and share her heart every single week. And she's been doing this for years. So y'all should definitely share it and help this platform grow because I love it so much.
Thank you, Kandiss. And I can't wait to be a guest on your broadcast, and I can't wait to see all the great things that are going to come out of this for you. I'm excited for you. I know that you have a political career here in Georgia. You know it too. You know it. And God is moving. We don't know what this is. We don't know why he's doing what he's doing, but I know that God will not be mocked. That's what I've been telling myself, Kandiss, with all of this. I said, God will not be mocked. So I have been sitting very quietly and sitting, and sitting still and letting God show me and direct me every day and every step of the way, because I don't know what this is and why this happened, but I know that God is in control.
Mm-hmm. And he's got us. He is before us, and we're his favorite. He loves us. So you're going to have a place. I'm going to have a place somewhere, and we're going to bring freedom back to the people.
Amen. And we're going to end on that, girl. I love you, and I will see you soon.
Now, the title of this book will grab you. It is Faith, Purpose, and Politics, Running the Race of My Life. Immediately, I was captivated. Tell me about how you chose your title.
Oh, you know, I don't think I chose this title. It just came to me, and because I know I was in the race of my life.
When we come to Washington in this campaign, we're coming to get our check. Young prodigies. Get out. Free.
Reparations, Martin said we coming for our check. Reparations, say it loud. 1, 2, mic check. Cream. Cash rules everything around me. Dream. My legacy, you can't stop me. Coming for our 40 acres, HR 40 and our paper.
Kicking the door. Coming for our 40 acres and more. 6.4 trillion. Miss that no, we fought the Civil War. We came from the poor.
Start from the bottom, we still on the floor. We pray to the Lord.
Amen.
Picking the cotton, our fingers are sore.
Straight out the underground, escaping from slavery. The only cemeteries that we had were the trees. Watching our bodies while they blew in the breeze. Niggas to the north side to get free.
That way came from slavery. Where's all the men want to stay on me? Put her head on the door, but the world won't scheme. Stick to the north side to get free.
Reparations, Martin said we coming for our check. Reparations, say it loud. 1, 2, mic check. Cream. Cash rules everything around me. Dream. My legacy, you can't stop me. Coming for our 40 acres, HR 40 and our
Look,
paper.
we taking them back. Putting Pettis Bridge on the map. Police came with the strap. That Sunday was bloody, no cap. Speaking of cap, Kaepernick taking knees at the flag. Where my justice at? We built this nation, better give me them racks. All fat, just imagine a little bit of gasoline. 4 girls got burned back in 63.
400 years, yeah, we still ain't free. Our rise, we rise, take a knee.
Kaepernick.
Reparations, Martin said we coming for our check. Reparations, say it loud. 1, 2, mic check. Cream. Cash rules everything around me. Dream. My legacy, you can't stop me.
Coming for our 40 acres, HR 40 and our paper.
We stuck in the trap with no shoes, trying to pull up bootstraps. Increasing the gap. Wealth got bigger, so we had to adapt. Discriminated cause we black. I know it worth more than I know it's a fact. They tryna feed scraps. Strike me on board so we can't come back.
30 years ago on April 19, USEP and Triremic chemical read.
If it happened to them, think it happened to me. Screaming, I'm ready